Let me just get this a little bit better, a little more straight. Another episode of the Square and Compass podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yesterday, I had an excellent time visiting the Blood Donor Center, or the Donor Center for Canadian Blood Services here in Windsor, Ontario. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of Freemasonry and blood donation, because there's some really cool history there, and I think it will be really fun to check out and talk about. So please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. As always, the first hour or so, we're just going to hang out, wait to see who joins. The first 60 minutes, and then we're going to start on specific topics. By the way, a couple of things I want to mention, being with my former involvement with wheelchair sports. The Paralympics are going on at the moment. Let's not forget about all of our amazing Paralympic athletes. In case anybody's curious, the current medal count, Canada, go Canada, is in 14th spot with 1 gold, 3 silver, and 4 bronze medals. 8 medals in total. America is in 3rd spot with 10 medals. 3 gold, 5 silver, 2 bronze. Austria is in 2nd place. China's in 1st place, 9 gold, 6 silver, 8 bronze medals, so 23 in total. The Paralympic Games go until Sunday, March 15th, 2026. They're also taking place in Milan, They got 612 athletes taking part. Listen, if you want to support our Paralympic athletes, I would encourage you to do so. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. As soon as I know, I will let you know. If I don't know by noon of Thursday, then we'll just have to postpone it or cancel it. Also want to mention, because I keep discussing this, because I think it's incredibly important, because I do consider myself a professional traveler, but more than that, I think we as Freemasons are travelers. Since as of today, March 10th, price has increased by 56 cents per gallon since February 28th. So from February 28th to March 10th, gas has increased by 56 cents per gallon. This is going to affect Masonic travel in a variety of different ways. It's going to affect travel in a variety of different ways. It's not just the cost of gas in terms of driving, but public transportation may start to be more expensive. Bus fare may be more expensive. Certainly Greyhound or Flixbus may become more expensive. On top of that, airline travel may become more expensive. I'm considering a few trips, and I'm seeing the cost of tickets go up. Once again, though, the price of gas has gone up 56 cents as of today since February 28th. And I am keeping track of that. Let me know if you think the price is going to keep going up or not. Let me just do a quick question. I do not. Well, that is true. I mean, China does have the biggest population, so it makes sense that they would be in the lead of the organ donation. Or it's organ donation, in the lead of medal count, I just put on the thing, blood donation. And when I say blood donation, I suppose I could have made it a bit more clear and said blood donation or plasma donation, because, for example, at the Windsor Donor Center, they have both blood and plasma options available. So for the time being, we're going to wait and see who joins. As always, the first 60 minutes, I just hang out, talk about whatever. Well, the first person, Victoria, I mean, I'm not going to go into specifics because I don't think I don't know the specific number, but I'm comfortable with the idea of saying that China has a very large population, larger in my understanding than the United States or Canada, which does mean they have a bigger pool of people by which to, not just for Paralympic sports, but sports in general. Um, can I say EA Sports is in the game? I just did. Can you hit the like and subscribe button? Would be much appreciated. And I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. Once again, I had a wonderful time yesterday at Canadian Blood Services. Freemasonry actually is well known for being blood donors. There's a really cool history of blood donation, Freemasons being willing to donate blood and plasma. I know one Freemason who actually made it up to 250 donations in his whole life. Well, I think as you get older, it gets a little bit harder to donate blood. The rules become a little bit more strict about blood donation, I do believe. I think I'm real, Ozu, but who knows? Um, Hello, Spirit of Justice. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Yeah, but they got a lot of people, I'm pretty sure. I don't, we watched, but I'm willing to assume. Hello, Raj, and Spirit of Justice, welcome back. I got teeth. I got all sorts of teeth. I don't know what you're talking about, Maddie King. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. I hope that you guys are doing well, and thank you for joining as always. Take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. The first hour, we don't have any specific topics. We just hang out, chat about whatever. The second hour is when I have my specific topics. Maddie King, I don't know what you're talking about, but please hit like and subscribe. Let's do that. Well, I would hope that everybody would, have a working brain. Seems to be pretty important. I don't smoke weed, but I think it is now. I think there's different rules and regulations around it depending on which province you're in, but I don't know what the legality of it is. Happy Tuesday, Elevator has guide rail. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for being here. I do not know who the Alaskan Avenger is. There you go, legal in Canada. I mean, my view on it, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never done any substances outside of a lot of caffeine, probably too much, and medications as prescribed, but I don't have any necessarily issues with it. I think so long as you're being responsible with whatever you're doing, that's the most important thing. If I had to pick between, I do love seafood, but I'm not a huge fan of sushi. I like other types of seafood a lot more. To me, I'm not one who necessarily, someone who worked in the criminal justice system, and this is just me speaking for myself. I'm not necessarily sure to what extent I view these things as like, I'm not sure to what extent I necessarily consider drug criminalization to be the best approach to deal with either drug addiction or just drug use. Having said that, I do think we have a responsibility, not just as Masons, to care about ourselves and to care about our bodies, keep ourselves physically fit. Doing drugs, and that includes alcohol, by the way, at least to a problematic extent, is not a healthy thing for us. It's going to lead to problems down the road that we'll have to deal with. And it limits our ability to give back to the world or to exercise our talents for the world. Well, thank you, Mafia. Please hit like and subscribe. I don't always see every question, Husafel, so if I miss it, I miss it. What's my favorite movie? Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 or Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5? It depends on the day of the week and the weather outside. But those are my two favorite movies of all times. The Shriners is not a secret club. The Shriners is probably the most public part of Freemasonry, to be honest. But it's part of Freemasonry. It is an appendant body. So to be a Shriner, you must first be a Freemason. Hello, Laura. Please hit like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. My favorite movie is Roadhouse. Okay, great movie. I'm not going to knock that one at all, although it's not my favorite. I'm not an action movie guy. I've never been an action movie guy. For me, it's always, there are some I enjoy, some I don't. For me, though, it's always going to be horror films. That's what I go for. Although I hear that Hail Mary is supposed to be really good, and I've heard the book is really good as well, so I may check it out. I never had a wife and kids. I have a cat, if that means anything, but I've never had a wife and kids. So there you go. I mean, that's not just a Victoria problem. There are people, for example, in Windsor, all around the country, downtown cores especially, that you pass them by and you see a lot of people, drugs, alcohol even. It's not a problem unique to Victoria. I don't know if the book is always better. The book is often better, but I don't know about always. I think there are probably exceptions. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I can think of some good ones, like some good exceptions. Maybe Lord of the Rings, although that might be blasphemous to some people. You get used to trolls, Travis the Pirate. It's part of being on stream. TSE, well, good for going to the doctor. Whatever, if you're ever having troubles, I don't know how best to deal with that particular issue, but nonetheless, there you go. I got a big nose. I've grown to accept it. Any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? Please let me know. Once again, I'm going to start talking about Freemasonry and blood donation after the first 60 minutes. And by the way, you can organize like a Masonic outing to all donate blood together, or you can become a group that donates blood. So whenever you go to donate blood, for example, what you can do is you can sign up under a different group. So it could be, for example, signing up under like your Masonic Lodge. I am not a Grand Lodge officer. I'm a Worshipful Master. So I guess some would argue if you're the Worshipful Master, you are a Grand Lodge officer by definition, or by default might be the better term. Oh, hope everybody's okay. But I am a Grand Lodge, so I'm Worshipful Master of a lodge. What would you think it's an elitist group? Do I strike you as elitist? I am a Freemason. Freemasonry is a civic or community group that's existed for over 300 years, give or take. You could say 1717 if you want. Like any other civic or community group, the purpose is to enjoy one another's company and to create bonds of brotherhood and to create a better world, in my opinion, through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth, or at least better individuals. 19 votes. We've got, interesting, yes and no are about even at the moment. I mean, that's a better way to put it, I suppose. Some would argue, though, Rondo, that if you're a Worshipful Master, you're a Grand Lodge officer, de facto. I don't know if I buy that or not, but it certainly means you're part of the Grand Lodge. Although technically, even if you're an entered apprentice, you're part of the Grand Lodge. You just, depending on the jurisdiction, don't necessarily have voting rights. I would call it, Travis, the highest ranking position, at least in a lodge. You could argue, again, you could argue district deputy is a higher position. You could argue most worshipful grandmaster is a higher position. It kind of depends how you want to define these things. I would be much more on the side, though, of calling it calling it the highest ranking position within a Masonic lodge itself. Hello, Priscilla. Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. Um, there's nothing above 33rd. There's nothing above third for the record. Well, when it gets complicated, this is a whole thing, which really doesn't matter to most, even Masons, to be honest. If you are, attending Grand Lodge in Ontario and you're voting for the officers, it's past masters, worshipful masters, and wardens um, are the people who have the voting rights in that sense. Well, then there you go. I am the big dog, yes, indeed. But I was a big dog before I became a Freemason. Freemasonry is not going to change who you are, for the record, right? So the man makes the Mason doesn't make the man. The point is, if you are joining Freemasonry because you think all of a sudden it's going to change you and make you a better person or make you different, you're going to be disappointed, right? At the end of the day, you can't join Freemasonry expecting it to just change who you are. You have to put in the work and be willing to change who you are. Um, it's just like joining a gym. You can join a gym all you want to, but if you never show up or if you're lazy about your workouts, you're not going to get in shape. You have to put in the work. Um, Certainly the busiest office in Lodge is the secretary. Dad is absolutely correct about that. Whether it's also the most important office, who knows? I would say the most important office in Freemasonry is the office you hold, or at least that is how you should view things, right? You should view the most important office as whichever one you hold and do the best to do it to the best of your skill and abilities. Um, so that's not the case. You looked up stuff incorrectly. This is why I'm always telling people you cannot simply, like, if you don't know anything about Freemasonry, or if you've never been a Freemason, or you're not active and involved, just looking stuff up and not actually knowing the context or understanding the history of it is going to screw you up. And you're not going to understand what you're looking at. No, Freemasonry is not male exclusive. We have the Order of Eastern Star, which is a Masonic group for men and women. There's also the Order of Women Freemasons. There's even co-Masonry. So there are many ways that women can become involved in Freemasonry. Most lodges, they're either male exclusive or female exclusive. However, even in that case, there is co-Masonry. It does exist. It's not always recognized everywhere. It's prominent in France, but I would say you can look at Order of Eastern Star or Order of Women Freemasons. All is well, Minotaur. Um, well, right now I'm at 6 likes, so I got a long way to go to get to 33. Um, no out there, welcome. I hope that you'll hit like and subscribe. It's not a huge cult. Freemasonry is not a cult of any sort, neither a huge cult nor a not huge cult. So there you go. I posted a question mark. A candidate for passing has not responded. Well, the secretary and treasurer up there. A candidate for passing has not responded to any comms at all. Well, I mean, if he's, so what do you mean by that? Like, if he is already a member, because when I hear passing, what I think of is you're going to go from the first to the second degree. If he's already a member, then unless he's not paying his dues or not paying his assessments or not paying, pick your term, then he should remain a member of the lodge, at least in Ontario. And now you could remove him from the summons in the sense that you would put down, like, if you mean removed from the summons as in there's an announcement for his degree and he's not responded, then you could remove the announcement for his next degree, for his next passing, and you wait for him to contact, but you keep him on the summons list and send it to him until he either doesn't pay his dues or requests a demit or doesn't pay his, yearly assessment. Um, if you mean he's not responding and he's a candidate to join, well then yeah, he's not a Mason yet, right? There are some people who spend a long time waiting, in the entered apprentice degree and don't move up. I understand it's a little bit different in the States and that's more frowned upon. Here in Canada, we have many brothers who don't go up in the degrees. Yes, Masonry is not a religion. Thank you, first person Victoria. Freemasons come from a variety of different religious backgrounds and beliefs. It does. It also has many aspects of non-religious or secular traditions, right? So, for example, Stoic philosophy, um, architectural orders, Enlightenment era philosophy, Egyptian mysticism, um, heck, Chinese mythology for that matter, and stonemasonry primarily. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, I guess if he is all paid up with his dues, then he just keeps receiving the summons, but you don't announce any passing of degrees until he responds and sets a time. We got hearts. I think that's Smokey the Clown. Thank you for being here. Yeah, certainly, that's true for the shrine, without question. First person Victoria, that's certainly the case. Once again, thank you everybody for being here. If, by the way, you are not a blood donor, which I'm happy to see that the majority of people watching this are, 58 to 42, but if you are not a blood donor, I would hope you might consider it. At the end of the day, if you cannot for medical reasons, that's completely understandable and obviously, right? Like, for example, low iron, whatever it is, talk to your doctor, talk to the blood donor clinic. However, if you can donate and if you're medically able to, I would recommend doing so. Oof, 18 waiting. That is awesome, Minotaur. Keep up the good work. Your lodge is growing. Yes, Tall Cedars of Lebanon. Lebanon being an important figure mythologically or apocryphally within Freemasonry. It's where Hiram, King of Tyre, was from. Well, you can do whatever you want, but I can make suggestions. And I would suggest you donate blood if you can, if you're allowed to, if you're medically capable of doing so. I've done it before. No troubles, certainly. At least I never had any issues with it. I used to enjoy it because it felt kind of like a relaxing day, or at least a relaxing morning. You'd go, give blood, get some coffee, get a cookie or cookies. Nothing wrong with that, that's for sure. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Trying to get political on the chat. Freemasons, for the record, are not political. We have many different political views on many different issues. Oh my gosh, Minotaur, so you're going to be absolutely exhausted. A 1 year period is a long time, too. Here in Ontario, it's usually 1 month minimum between degrees. All right, well, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but okay. We're just going to hang out again. The first 60 minutes, I don't have any specific topics. I just hang out, talk about whatever. I'm going to remind people again, don't forget the Paralympics are currently taking place. I hope that you guys will check them out. Support your team. We supported our Olympic athletes. Let's not forget to support our Paralympic athletes. America, by the way, is in 3rd place of the medal count of the Paralympics. Canada is in 13th. 8 medals, if I recall correctly. Also, keeping an eye on gas prices. They're currently up 56 cents from February 28th. As someone who considers himself a professional traveler, I'm paying attention to these gas prices to see how they do because it's affecting the cost of flights, of bus fare, of all that jazz. So Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm your favorite Freemason. Oh my gosh, that's a really tough question, Drumpel. Um, do you think Freemasonry has influenced the US as a whole? I mean, yes, not exclusively and not primarily. There have been other greater influences, but I mean, again, George Washington was a Freemason, Paul Revere, John Hancock. I would say I think Freemasonry most influenced the United States of America as it relates to the desire for democratic institutions and the emphasis on democratic institutions. Freemasonry is ultimately a democratic society. So it makes sense to me that, for example, George Washington would himself be interested in, and not just him, would see the value of democracy. However, many people, of the founding fathers saw the value of democratic institutions without being Freemasons. 13 of the 39 signers were Freemasons. So I agree. I don't think any religion is supreme, at least here on earth. Now, I suppose if your religion makes a specific claim about like what happens after you die, then I suppose maybe we will find out that when it's all said and done, one of them is correct and the rest were incorrect. Who knows? But I don't think we can make those judgments here on earth. At least I don't think I or any Freemason can make those judgments. I will sit next to, men of different faiths without issue, because I'm concerned about the way that they act here on earth as a neighbor, as a community member, as a friend, as a family member, as a brother. What happens after this life is not my place to say. Smokey, once again, let me know what time works for you on the 29th of March. Um, I don't have any courses, but I do have a Patreon and I do have super chats, so you can do that if you would so desire. Hello, Poke Dream Lab. And also, do not forget, March 28th, 2026, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Community Services Fair at the Windsor Masonic Temple. I hope you guys will join, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's going to be an absolute blast. I'm not sure why it's not sending. Send it to me through Instagram if you can. But either way, just bring it with you on the 28th. I know you'll be coming out for it. And I'll just see it there. By the way, if you have any kids and you want to bring them out on the 28th, we have the Masonic Child Identification Program there, Learning Center for Children with Dyslexia. It's going to be a blast, so please make sure to check it out. If you want, sure. For astronomy, I mean, God and the multiverse. But honestly, I would say check out Leonard Susskind's work on YouTube. He has a lot of great lectures about astronomy that I've really enjoyed. I would check that one out. I mean, Freemasonry borrows a lot from Enlightenment era philosophy. Absolutely. Um, awesome. They can take part in the Masonic Child Identification Program, which is a really cool program. Yeah, I know. Um, Freemasons can be gay. I mean, anybody can be gay, not just Freemasons. Freemasons can be gay or straight or whatever it might be. I've sat with many gay Freemasons. It's no issue. I mean, that's like saying plumbers can't be gay. Like anybody can. I don't know what that even means. What's going on, Leonard? Good to see you again. I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll take a moment to please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Um, I mean, again, this is me speaking personally. I don't think that you can call America a quote unquote Christian nation, but I do think that you can argue that many Christian ideals influenced America. But in the same way, you can't say America is a Freemason state, even though many Masonic ethical lessons, I think, influenced America. Leonard Skinner, my favorite song is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, so you are very wrong about that. Um, I would love to visit St. Andrew's 83. It would be incredible. and I would be very, very honored to do so. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll get the chance. Again, a big question is, are these gas prices ever going to go down? Um, they have to go down sooner or later, but when I type into Google, will gas prices go up or down in next 30 days? According to AI Overview, gas prices are expected to rise significantly over the next 30 days, driven by sharp increase in global oil prices, ongoing geopolitical conflict in the Middle East, and the typical seasonal shift. As of early March 2006, analysts and energy experts are warning of a potential surge, with national averages in the US having already jumped nearly 20% compared to the previous month, reaching 3.5 to 350 per gallon. Maybe not, but there's no guarantee. I don't think anybody ever knows for sure, but my suspicion is they're going to go up, which is going to affect travel costs. And so I'm curious if any Freemasons themselves are feeling the pinch of the cost of travel, and if that is, for example, reducing their likelihood to want to travel for Masonic events. Even today, I'm going to an event in Tilbury. It's about 45-minute drive from here. So that's, an hour and a half both ways. At what point does that trip become prohibitively expensive? Yes, I am not in a cult and I have coffee, so we're doing better than you, No Filter, but still, No Filter, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And no, Freemasons do not drink blood. So there you go. Once again, incorrect, fake news. What's not fake news is please hit like, please hit subscribe. What also is not fake news is tomorrow I'm going to be taking part in Medium's pub crawl. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to take part in it. So I hope you guys will check it out. I'm going to be trying to stream throughout the day. However, it's not going to be my typical 1 p.m., 1 a.m. stream. So, and then Thursday, same thing. I've got a few different events happening on Thursday. So I'm not going to be able to spend as much time focusing on the stream. I'm going to have the Medium pub crawl once again, but I will do my best to come on and do a stream for at least a little bit of time. Nobody's poking anybody. Just calm down. Well, it seems like you were the smart one, first person, Victoria. Oof, now we're at no 55, yes 46%. I didn't mind Trudeau. Well, the connection in this case is that Freemasons have been supporters of blood donation for a very long time, really over 100 years. Freemasons, which makes sense. We in Freemasonry care about our communities. We want to make it better. We want to help the people around us. We also want to be charitable. And blood donation is a great way to be all of those things and more. I don't know who that is, but please hit like and subscribe. Lily May. Yeah, I feel very lucky that my wheelchair does not run on gas at the moment, that's for sure. And I'm going to be talking more about this after the first 60 minutes, right? The first 60 minutes, I always just wait. I don't see why not. I guess talk to your doctor, talk to the blood donation clinic, because they have you do a series of questions. But if I recall from when I donated blood, at no point in the questionnaire do they ask you if you smoke. Right? Because there's a questionnaire you fill out before you donate the blood. They ask you a variety of questions. It's all confidential. It's all kept private. But I don't think smoking was on there, if I recall correctly. But again, the best place to go is to just ask the blood donation clinic directly. You go to Canadian Blood Services as well, and you can fill out the forms, or at least fill out the questionnaire online so you know. Hello, some chill guy. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Trump is not a Freemason, and Epstein was not a Freemason, so you're wrong on both counts, just for the record. You are incorrect on both counts. He neither is nor was a Freemason. Yeah, Canada made it through plenty of things. To survive Trudeau, it'll survive what's coming up. I mean, it made it through the Great Depression, it made it through World War I, it made it through World War II. I think we're going to be okay. I have no idea what he was, other than he was not a Freemason. At least I've seen zero evidence to indicate that he was. Well, that's a bit different, because then you're dealing with, especially the nature of the drug and injections and the possibility of disease. And again, that's not forever, right? There's time limits. So if you are a recovering addict and you have not, let's say, used injections within a year, I think you're okay. But again, the questionnaire has all of the questions and the answers, or all the questions on it. You answer honestly, and then you let blood services decide, right? And if they decide no for whatever reason, hey, at least you tried. And you can say you tried. I've talked about the times when Freemasonry is mentioned in the files. I did a previous stream about that. At no point is there any indication that any Freemasons were visiting Epstein Island or were part of Epstein's Island, or that Epstein is a Freemason. I've talked about the ways it's referenced in previous streams, so check those out. Hello, Space Legume. Good to see you. It is not fact-based, trust in God, because it's not based on any of my experiences. And my experiences are pretty factual in that I went through them. So, I mean, trust in God, you don't have to like Freemasons, right? There's no rule that says you have to like Freemasonry. There's no rule that says you have to like Freemasons. So if you don't like them, then so be it. I guess what I can say is I would hope that based on my experiences and my, you'll take my 20 years of being a Freemason and my thousands of meetings and my travel, at least in some way, shape, or form, you'll consider it at least somewhat relevant. So there you go. I don't know. Who are the 5 Masons, Ties? Nicole wants a shout out. Welcome, Nicole. Thank you for being here. So who are the 5 most wanted that have Masonic ties? And how do you know they have Masonic ties? That's a better question. Is it referenced in their wanted posters? Now, Nicole, are you going to hit the like and subscribe button? I like Resident Evil. I'm not a huge gamer, but I did enjoy playing Resident Evil very much. Okay. I don't know. I mean, again, all I know is my research in terms of where and how Freemasonry is referenced in the Epstein files. The rest of it, I have no idea. I enjoyed 6. I enjoyed 1. I enjoyed a few different Resident Evil video games over the years. I also liked Silent Hill quite a bit. Brad Paisley, Mystical, is a prominent Freemason who's a celebrity. Shaquille O'Neal is another one. Those are the 2 I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm missing some. I'm not defending what's in the files. I'm saying Freemasonry is not mentioned in the files except in a historical context, or in context unrelated to any criminal activity. I don't think Tom Hanks is a Freemason. I'm nearly positive he's not. I also don't think Robin Williams is a Freemason. Apathy, yeah, I mean, I guess he's famous. He's more famous than me, that's for sure. He's a singer-rapper who's a Freemason. I can accept that. Please hit like and subscribe. It still blows my mind that nobody's doing anything. Nobody doing anything about what? Was Richard Pryor a Freemason? He might have been. Curious. Hello, MD Myth. How's it going? He was a member, Prince Hall Freemasonry, Henry Brown Lodge number 22 in Peoria, Illinois during the 1970s. Cool. I mean, there's a lot of people historically who've been famous Freemasons, celebrity Freemasons, like John Wayne. I guess it also depends how you define famous. Like, do you mean famous in terms of the arts, or do you mean famous in terms of politics? Because George Washington, Ben Franklin, Winston Churchill, Mozart, Hoover, right? Do you mean famous in terms of entertainers and athletes? Houdini was a Freemason. Peter Sellers, Sugar Ray Robinson. Do you mean famous like Mike Wozniak is a Freemason from Apple Computers? So why do I look old? Because Freemasonry has aged me because it's so much work. FDR? Yeah, I mean, it depends how you define famous, but modern famous Freemasons, what I always think of first is Shaquille O'Neal and Brad Paisley. Um, you can be a non-Mason and not be lowly. Being lowly has nothing to do with your Masonic status, for the record. Jesse Jackson, yes, obviously just passed away recently. He'll be missed by his both Masonic brethren, friends, family, and I would say the world, or at least America. But was a Freemason as well. I am not 50, but I'm closer to 50 than I am to 30, and that scares me quite a bit. Getting old. Charles Manson is dead, and also I don't think Charles Manson was a Freemason. Um, no, user. Freemasonry makes absolutely no claims as to salvation or damnation. If you want to get into heaven, Freemasonry is not your ticket to that. It's also not your ticket to not going to heaven. It's your ticket to living a better life here on earth. If you want to know what happens in the afterlife or how you get into the afterlife, talk to your religious leadership, talk to your religious leaders, whether they be whatever faith it is you are or whatever faith it is you believe, that is whom you should be speaking to. Maybe he was 187. In my experience, Aleister Crowley is probably, or more than likely, clandestine, and that he never joined a legitimate lodge. I did see Scream 7. I liked it quite a bit. I mean, there's no bad Scream movies, and I would include Scream 7 in that. I do think Scream 7 was the weakest of the Scream movies. However, because all the Scream movies are so good, even Scream 7, it might be the least good Scream movie. It's still a good movie. Some may not. I don't even think the Catholic Church officially hates Freemasonry. I want to use that term, but they do say if you are a Freemason and you're Catholic, you're not allowed to take communion, which I don't agree with, obviously, but that's their religion, I suppose. Having said that, I've known many Catholic Freemasons. They're a wonderful part of the craft, and we, on the Masonic side, would have no problem welcoming any Catholic who wishes to be a Freemason. I mean, I'm a organ donor, Bunny Goddess. It's an interesting name. So I hope they take my organs and harvest them when I'm gone, and I hope they use them for whomever may need them. I might even be harvesting an organ before I pass away. Who knows? Mystical, you're not incorrect. I mean, first Scream is pretty incredible, though I just saw the second Scream, and it's really good. Yes, Scottie Pippen was also a Freemason, to my knowledge. Peace, I know it looked like Shrek. I've grown to accept it. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. It would be most appreciated. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for being here. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. I don't think he's a Freemason. I always find it interesting. I'm curious what it is, why it is people are so curious about which celebrities are or are not Freemasons. And so much of my chat just comes down to people asking if random celebrities are or are not Freemasons. I mean, would it make a difference if they were or if they weren't? To me, I would be just as interested if my, plumber was a Freemason, so long as he's a good man and true. Well, thank you for liking and subscribing. It's much obliged. Don't forget, we also have super chat options and we have gift options as well. I never really followed, I'm sad to say, basketball. I do remember growing up and obviously hearing a bunch about Michael Jordan because he was the man at the time in the 90s. Um, well, that's not how it works. Anybody who tells you become a Freemason, you'll become rich or famous, you are going to be very disappointed. That's not what joining Freemasonry is all about. It's not about getting rich. It's not about getting famous. It's not about getting powerful. It's not about becoming influential. It's about working on yourself and maybe the community in some ways. Never played Minecraft, so I do not know. Interestingly enough, 52 votes. The no's are slightly ahead of the yeses. Consider being a blood donor. Again, it's up to you. It's up to your doctor, especially, and the blood donor clinic itself. But it's worth exploring. Help those around you, you know? I've been waiting on my $1 million check since 2007. I haven't got it yet, but maybe I'll get it soon. Who knows? Well, Bunny, that's some baloney. You've been looking up a lot of BS online. I'm just going to say it for the record, although it's also in my will and on my health card. I'm an organ donor. Once I pass away, for heaven's sakes, take whatever organs you need and give them to somebody else. Hopefully, it won't be for many years. I'm not looking forward to it anytime soon. But once I'm out of here, take the organs, use them as you will. And if something happens to me, knock on wood, and I go earlier than I'd like, still take my organs. I might be, like I said, donating an organ even before I pass away. We shall see. So, Bunny, that's some nonsense. I have full faith that if the doctors can save me, they will save me. But I also have full confidence that if the doctors cannot save me for whatever reason, that's okay. They will, I'll go away to whatever comes next. My organs will be used to help others, so that'll be all right as well. Whether I transitioned or not, would it make a difference? So, Bunny, you need to be more discerning in what you watch on social media. Yes, Steve Wozniak is a Freemason. I'd love to have him on the podcast, but I don't think he's very active within Freemasonry, to be honest. At least what I'm seeing, he's not that active within Freemasonry. I hope that he maybe becomes more active or starts talking about it more. It seems like he joined for a family commitment based on my understanding of it. I like them both. I like all food, although I'm going to treat your question as serious, even though I know it's not. In summer, nothing beats barbecued hot dogs. That's the best. With mustard and onions. No ketchup, because I consider Chicago a second home. So I would never put ketchup on a hot dog. I would love to get Shaquille O'Neal on a live stream. I feel like he's very busy, but maybe one day, who knows? Anything's possible. Right? As it grows, it grows. Welcome once again. Please take a moment, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. I hope you're all doing very well. I prefer hot dogs. I know what you're going to do with that, but you be you. Scottish Rite versus York Rite difference. AB. Mr. Keeps, I think a cat went over your keyboard. Well, they're both appendant bodies. You need to be a Freemason first and foremost to join either. I'm not a York Rite Mason, so you need to keep that in mind. A lot of them developed from a speech that Chevalier Andrew Raymond gave in 1737. York, it does have more of at certain higher degrees, a Christian component to it. It's more of a specific faith faith requirement as opposed to Scottish Rite, which welcomes every faith, just like Freemasonry does. Scottish Rite, to my experience, is more of a philosophical body, right? It was heavily influenced by, obviously, Albert Pike, as people like to point out. although not exclusively. There's different jurisdictions. The way people describe Scottish Rite is the University of Freemasonry, whereas in my experience, the York Rite, first of all, it has more of a Christian-specific view. Also, it is more of a, if you want to call it a militaristic, again, not a military, but it draws inspiration, ideas, symbols, ethical lessons from the Knights Templar, which existed from 1100 to about 1308. Um, I love Shaq. He's awesome. Yes, as Mr. Keeps, just the top level requires Christianity. The rest do not. So you need to keep that in mind as well. It's not every level of York Rite that requires it. So Mr. Keeps is correct about that. Also, I don't think, is he? Maybe he is. Well, but I would say they, based on my experiences and my knowledge of them, they're all leading to that final chapter, which is more of the militaristic history of it, right? Again, it comes from Chevalier Andrew Raymond in 1737. Also, Royal Arch, it's fascinating because Royal Arch has a really interesting history dating back to the split between the ancients and the moderns. A lot of people consider the Arch degree to be the true end of the third degree. In Freemasonry, you have the craft degrees, Entered Apprentice, Fellow Craft, Master Mason, which is the third degree. For the time, the fourth degree in York Rite, which was the Arch Rite degree, was considered by the ancients to be the true completion of the third degree. I don't believe that myself. I've always said third degree is the highest degree in Freemasonry. That includes, that includes whether you're York Rite or Scottish Rite. But a lot of people consider Arch to be the true completion of the third degree. Certainly the ancients in the ancient versus modern split did, but I would say, when they chose to reunify or unify the ancients and the moderns, they made the decision then, this was 1813, to separate the fourth degree in Royal Arch and make it an independent body. So that's the way I will always treat it. Having said that, nothing but respect for my York Rite brethren. To be one, ask one on walls is what they say. If you're interested in finding a Masonic lodge and joining, then you need to find, or if you're interested in joining Freemasonry, you need to find a Masonic lodge in your area, approach them and express your interest in joining, and you go from there. Diddy, Puff Daddy, is not a Freemason. MD, so you're everything, basically. Master Mason, Shriner, 32nd Scottish Rite. As I said, I know many Catholic Freemasons, right? The Catholic Church may have its own views on Freemasonry. The extent to which they are enforced, I don't know. It could be one of those things where it's, the rule is expressed but not actually enforced, as relates to being able to take or not take communion. But yeah, Freemasonry welcomes men of all different faiths, including Catholic. So again, I've known many Catholic Freemasons, Mr. Keeps. And I'm not going to judge anybody's faith, right? It's not my place to say, whatever their church leadership may say. If they go to their church and if they're active in the church, then that's good enough for me, right? Bandit is doing well. No, we've never pretended to allow Catholics to join. I've had many Catholics join Freemasonry. I've known of many Catholics historically who joined Freemasonry. So we welcome men of all different faiths. Now, again, there could have been historically within Masonic lodges prejudices against Catholics because human beings are people, right? And people have their prejudices, and they often reflect the prejudices of the communities. But it's a shame if that happens, um, and it would hope it would never take place. And when it does, I hope that we correct it. But it looks like the most early Catholic Freemason was Tommaso Crudeli, an Italian poet and lawyer, identified as an early Catholic Freemason. Um, so there you go. Now, there was a papal, I don't know how to pronounce that, ban of Freemasonry. The earliest one coming in 1738, if I recall correctly. I can look that up quickly, but I believe the first papal ban was in 1738. Although the most, I think, explanative papal document regarding Freemasonry in the Catholic Church was Humanum Genus. I think it was in 1888 by Pope Leo the 13th. I could be getting that incorrect. Zero history. Well, anything's possible, but I like to think I know some history. I will say the most recent declaration, I believe, came in if I recall correctly, 2023. Um, I'm nearly positive that's when it was. Let me see if I can find it to confirm. It was either 2023 or 2022. Dun, dun, dun. Here it is, Reuters, November 15th, 2023. But again, that was the most recent statement. That is not to say, and I think we need to keep in mind and remember that things change over time. For the record, that was the last statement was made under Pope Francis. The current Pope, Pope Leo the 14th, grew up in Chicago. He was born in 59 at a time when Freemasonry was quite ubiquitous. I'm hoping maybe the Catholic Church will one day change its opinion. And again, I know there's a lot of Masons pushing because Freemasonry is very popular in the Philippines, and there are many Catholic Freemasons in the Philippines. It's also growing in popularity in South America, and there are many Catholic Freemasons. I've met them in the Philippines, in South America. To my knowledge, they take communion. Now, whether it is the priest or father is choosing to turn a blind eye to it, or whether, I can't say how it's going about, but yeah. Well, the KKK and Freemasonry are completely different organizations. I can't speak to whether the KKK, to my knowledge, they're anti-everything except a very specific group of people because they're a bunch of racist, horrible human beings, in my opinion. I'm comfortable saying that about them. I know they can change, right? Freemasonry, again, there are many Catholic Freemasons who joined throughout history, even during the papal ban. So obviously, I think as the Catholic Church had stronger negative views of it, there was less and less joining. So I think, Brother Courtney, they're wrong, right? I think that is the ultimate position of the Catholic Church. They have other positions as well about Freemasonry, but I think the ultimate reason for their position is they view Freemasonry as an alternative religion, and it's not, right? Freemasonry is not an alternative religion. I've explained why in the past. It makes no promises of salvation, nor does it make any threats of damnation. It is not it does not have a single governing body that enforces the interpretation of any Masonic texts or documents. And I always point this out, I'm not aware of any Masonic group or body that is registered as or considered for taxation purposes a charity. A religion, or has religious status for any tax purposes. Some are considered charities, some are considered nonprofits. I mean, if it's a building that's renting itself out for events, it may have a business license. Like it depends. So there's a variety of different ways it operates. But I'm not aware of any Masonic group organization that is registered as a charity, sorry, registered as a religion. Again, it could be registered as a charity, not for profit. It could be registered, again, if it has, let's say, a building and it's renting out space. But for those reasons, Freemasonry is not a religion. But the primary reason, again, is because Freemasonry makes no promises of salvation nor threats of damnation. Um, as MD Myth says, it is not a religion for those reasons. Now, again, if you want to call it a charity, in some cases, it can be registered as such, or certain Masonic organizations can be registered as such. If you want to call it a not for profit, if you want to call it a civic institution, a community group, all that stuff is fine. No, Eduardo, Mason is a civic institution. Judaism is a religion, or you can consider it an ethnic group. Freemasonry welcomes Jewish people, but it is not one and the same with Judaism. No, Eduardo, Freemasonry was created by stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages. I do not in a cult, and I did not join to get a foot up in certain industries. Stephen, you got to be really careful about that. You don't get to tell people why they joined or what they joined for. That's not fair and that's not appropriate. You don't know me. I don't know if you know any Masons, but you definitely don't know me. And you need to be careful about telling people why they joined or why they did something. Um, I would say what Freemasonry suggests is no religion is right or supreme insofar as how you exist here on earth. You can be a good neighbor, a good brother, a good friend, and be any number of different religious affiliations or beliefs. However, if you want to know what is correct in a true sense, in an ontological sense, or what is true in terms of what happens to you after you leave this earth, Freemasonry is quiet about that. It makes no statement about that at all, nor does it make any suggestions about that. That's up to you to understand based on your religious beliefs. And I guess we'll all find out when we leave this earth. Um, I mean, again, you keep saying that. There are many Freemasons who are Catholics throughout history. Um, um, Well, that's one of the things, right? But that's one of, I would argue, the main uh, qualifications of a religion. Now, again, if you want to use, and I've talked about this before, if you want to use, for example, um, religion in a secular sense, then you could argue that Freemasonry, as well as anything else, is a religion, right? Like I've given this story before. I used to go to scary movie conventions because I love scary movies. I still do. And somebody had a shirt on that said, "Scary movies are my religion." I've heard people talk about like football is their religion. I've heard people talk about they doing things religiously, right? In that every Sunday they wash their car religiously, or they go to church religiously, or they watch football religiously. So if you want to talk about religion in the sense that just something you do without fail repeatedly, or something that gives you a sense of spiritual fulfillment, then I suppose you could define religion to include Freemasonry, but you could also define it to include scary movies, right? I think it has to be more than that. And the idea of it needing to have a promise of salvation or a threat of damnation, I get that from Chris Hodap. He's a great example of that understanding of it in Freemasonry for Dummies. Um, Also, I would say, um, right? The definition coming from, let's see, Merriam-Webster, um, right? An organized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, or practices, right? A commitment or devotion to a god or gods, a system of beliefs or religious observance, the service of worship of a god or multiple gods of the supernatural. To me, the purpose of that devotion is not simply what happens here on this life, but in the next life. And also, if you don't want to use the idea of, promise of salvation or threat of damnation, I would say, again, the other two characteristics that is important to keep in mind that at least makes it not an organized religion is the lack of singular interpretation, right? Within a religion, you have a Bible, a Quran, a Torah. However, the understanding of that book ultimately is disseminated through a priest, a rabbi, an imam. Like a Catholic, for example, would not be able to say, I interpret the Bible my way. It must be interpreted based on the understanding from the Vatican. And then the third, how it's represented within a taxation system. Again, I could be wrong. I do not know and have never heard of any Masonic body or order that is registered as a religion for any taxation purposes anywhere. It's always either been a community group, civic group, in some cases charity, in many cases not for profit. Um, well, I mean, again, the now part of your statement, Stephen, I would question, but I've sat in lodge with Buddhists, Sikhs, Indigenous, um, you know, Christian, Hindu, Muslim. I've met Wiccan, Wiccan Freemasons. Never sat in lodge with them because I didn't meet them during a lodge meeting. I welcome anybody of any faith, as long as they're good men and true, to join. Well, I mean, Freemasonry as an organization should never have been anti-Catholic. Masons, though, I mean, Masons were prejudiced against all sorts of people. Like, look at Prince Hall, right? Unfortunately, being a Freemason does not automatically make you no longer have the I don't know what the word is, the prejudices and the views of the communities in which it's located. I would hope if you follow the ethical practices of Freemasonry, it will make you no longer racist or prejudiced, but the man makes the mason doesn't make the man. Meaning, unfortunately, if you have anti-Catholic sentiments and you join Freemasonry, you may carry those into lodge. And if you are part of a community that has anti-Catholic sentiments, your lodge may be anti-Catholic. So there you go. But hopefully, as we in society get better, we in society become better, that means we'll remove those prejudices from our hearts, whether they are removed through Freemasonry or whether they are removed through, who knows, any other way that they can be removed. Through our own work and our own efforts, though. What men are good and true? How would you know? You can't know for sure, Bilbo Baggins. I don't pretend that you can know for sure. You can just take your best guess. And it's a bit of a leap of faith. I've talked about this before. Whenever someone is joining Freemasonry, they are taking a leap of faith. They are choosing to join an organization. The reason I don't talk about the rituals and ceremonies within Freemasonry is because I want them to take that leap of faith. I think it's better for them if, to a certain extent, they're joining something, taking a leap of faith. However, that doesn't mean that they cannot take the time to learn more about the lodge, learn more about the members, ask questions. And even though there will be a leap of faith, they can try to reduce the extent of that leap and reduce how far they're leaping. By the same token, When somebody joins Freemasonry, the lodge is also taking a leap of faith. They could very well simply be very good liars. They could very well simply be people who do not, not good men and not honorable and not true. We should limit the extent of the leap of faith by getting to know them better and asking them questions. And not, they come in on a Monday and they're a Mason on a Tuesday type of thing. But it is ultimately a leap of faith both ways. Well, Stephen, I think you're being purposefully dense at this point. It can mean a leap of faith can be anything you choose to do. It doesn't have to be religious. For example, every time I go to the movies, I'm taking a leap of faith that I'll enjoy the movie. I'm choosing to spend a couple hours of my time and $20 of my money to go and see a movie that I may enjoy or I may not. Now, I can choose to take steps to limit that leap of faith by, for example, if I know I like scary movies, then going to a scary movie means I'm taking less of a leap of faith than if I go to see a comedy. If I know certain actors I really like, it's less of a leap of faith. But at the end of the day, making decisions in your day-to-day life equals a leap of faith. Which is okay, by the way. Sometimes you have to. But I think when it comes to Freemasons, yeah, every time somebody joins, we are putting a level of faith and trust in that person that he will be good for Freemasonry and good for the craft. There is no God to them. That is my version of God, but that is not a Masonic version of God. Every Mason has his or her own version of a God. I think nowadays leap of faith is both religious and non-religious. Many people use leap of faith to describe many activities that would not be considered religious, unless you want to define religious so broadly that everything is religion in its context, right? Because again, you could argue scary movies for some people are religious experience. People do things religiously, like wash their car every Sunday. That doesn't mean it's a religion. Freemasons, some Masonic lodges have deacons. It's not actually necessarily in every lodge, in my experience, the offices are exactly the same. But yeah, we have deacons within Freemasonry. They're actually a very valuable part of the craft. They're, I think, underrated in terms of their importance within the lodge because they're the ones who kind of guide a candidate very often. So if you are a deacon, take your job seriously. It's incredibly, incredibly important and very often unappreciated. Or they don't realize how important they are. I've seen degrees that, if the deacon is nervous, everybody gets nervous. So you need to be calm. You need to recognize you're kind of leading the way in both literal and metaphorical ways for both the candidate and the lodge. And you need to recognize that. Well, it's what you're doing, Corvin, in your day-to-day activities, right? Like, so for example, you can believe in, let's say you're of the Muslim faith. You can believe in the supernatural elements of the Quran and have religious affiliations, but you're not religious when you are, or you're not practicing religion when you are at work. You're not practicing religion when you're in a Masonic lodge. You're not practicing religion when you're playing sports, unless you view everything you do as being within a religious context. But that doesn't mean that everything you do is religious, unless you bring the religion into it, right? So for example, you may have a Muslim, a Christian, a Jewish person all sitting next to each other in a Masonic lodge. They may all, in a certain way, be interpreting Masonic ceremony and Masonic activity through a religious context, and they're welcome to do so. That's up to them how they want to interpret Freemasonry, but that doesn't make Freemasonry religious, right? Well, but I mean, under that theory, then everything you do is religious, whether it be part of a civic group or a community group or going to work or driving your car, which is fine. I think there are some people, I would even know some Christians who would say everything I do is religious because everything I do is considered tied to my religious beliefs, which is perfectly fine. But under that theory, then again, you're defining religious so broadly as anything and everything is under that umbrella. Nice, Corvin. I love old films. Um, well, but again, so what does that mean? So if you're, let's say, a Christian, for example, or Muslim, could be as well, and I mean, you're going to a Masonic lodge, that doesn't make the Masonic lodge religious, right? If you're playing soccer, it doesn't make playing soccer or football religious, unless you're the type of person who views everything you do in a religious context, which is fine, but that's your personal interpretation, um, not a Masonic interpretation. We got some dumb people in the chat today, but it's okay. It happens. Um, can't always get rid of dumb people. The one thing I did want to discuss today, because yesterday I had the pleasure and the honor of attending a networking conference, kind of a networking event at the Canadian Blood Services um, Donor Center here in Windsor, Ontario. It's on Howard. If you want to learn more, you can contact Canadian Blood Services through 1-888-2-DONATE. Once again, 1-888-2-DONATE. That is true to my knowledge. It is also outlawed in Iran. There is a Grand Lodge of Iran in exile. There's also Freemasonry in Jordan, in Israel, in Morocco, which is not the Middle East, but it is a Muslim majority country. It also exists on many bases throughout the Middle East, like American bases. 1-888-2-DONATE. Freemasonry actually has a really, really cool history as it relates to um, blood donation, both in Canada and around the world. For example, this is from Masonic District, Hamilton, Ontario. The Masonic commitment to donating blood can be traced back to Very Worshipful Brother William Hoyle of Electric Lodge number 495 in 1941, when he persuaded his Masters and Wardens Association to take an interest in donating blood. At this time, blood was not collected but donated directly to the recipient. As a result, a list of donors was required to ensure that when blood was needed, a donor was available. Very Worshipful Brother Hoyle and his dedicated group of Masons made up the majority of that list. On the evening of May 23rd, 1944, Moose Hall was the scene of a horrific fire. Very Worshipful Brother Hoyle was contacted to rally the Masons and reported directly to the hospital to help save the lives of the people who managed to get out of the fire. Shortly after this truly charitable act of brotherly love and relief, Very Worshipful Brother Hoyle and the Hamilton Masons joined forces with the Red Cross to improve the system by which blood donors were recorded and could be contacted. As time progressed and the ability to store blood had arrived, the Masons continued to aid the Red Cross and later Canadian Blood Services in their variant work. We are needed today more than ever to help our fellow man. Hamilton District C Masons support CBS in several ways. So far this year, we've received generous financial donations from Hugh Murray, Electric, Buchanan, and Temple Lodges. Their support is very much appreciated. With the aging population, Canada requires an additional 100,000 donors each year. Many Hamilton District Masons already make regular donations. And several lodges and individuals within Canada, specifically within Ontario, support or volunteer at donor clinics, handing out post-donation refreshments. Hamilton District C Masons support between 2 and 9 clinics per month. If you would like to volunteer as a individual or lodge would like to sponsor a clinic, let Brother Matthew Mandula know. That is from the Hamilton District C Masons. I'm going to leave that in the chat in the link. Freemasons also support blood donation around the world. This is from November 17th, November 17th, 2025 in the Jamaica Observer, on Saturday, the Freemasons of Jamaica held their third annual National Blood Drive at the National Chest Hospital in St. Andrew, marking the organization's best effort in the past 3 years. Over 65 pints of blood were collected from just over 90 donors who responded to the group's appeal. In addition, the Freemasons made a donation of $140,000 to the National Blood Transfusion Service Blood Bank to support the purchase of an air conditioning unit and standing fans for the facility. Somebody who imagines Jamaica can get quite warm, I'm sure that they appreciated the air conditioner very much. Oh, Odin. Crystal Lee, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, represented the donation alongside Dr. Courtney Palmer, District Grand Master of the District Grand Lodge of Jamaica, Igor Allen, the National Director of Blood Collection at the Blood Bank, Philip Clark, Secretary of Masonic Homes, and Thomas C. Smith, District Grand Master of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Due to a staff shortage and high turnout, more than 15 people who arrived after 2 could not be accommodating, as processing would have had to extend. Organizers explained that blood bank workers were occupied continuously from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. without a break. Those unable to donate returned Monday, November 17th to contribute. Maybe, I don't know what Rastafarianism is. I think it's a religious affiliation. And I think there's a belief in a supreme being, so I don't see why not. I am not drinking blood. However, I am a firm believer in blood donation, if you can do it, as well as plasma donation. I think it's an incredibly important part of what it is to be a Freemason, community service, and charity. We tend to think of charity exclusively as it relates to, we tend to think of Freemasonry as exclusively financial, but it's not. It is charitable with your time, charitable with your efforts, charitable with your kindness, charitable with forgiveness, charitable with, in this case, blood, charitable with organs, charitable with a variety of different ways. Charitable with organ donation, with blood donation, with plasma donation. Rando, I'm sure it happens, but usually it's the opposite. Usually you're a Freemason first, then you get married, then your wife joins Eastern Star, not the other way around. I would say if you're joining Freemasonry with the purpose of finding love, probably not going to be happy. That's what Freemasonry is about. Welcome, Jesse. I will point out also, speaking of, when it comes to blood donations and Freemasonry, the National Health Services Blood and Transplant team hosted, Freemasons Hall, United Grand Lodge of England, hosted a National Health Services Blood and Transplant Clinic March 7th, 2025 from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You'll note here, every day thousands of people's lives are saved or improved thanks to the generosity of donors like you, but sadly there are still a lot of patients that can't be treated because there are not enough supplies. There's an urgent need for donations. Please help if you can. So again, the United Grand Lodge of England hosting a blood donation clinic March in 2025. I'm sure they've hosted more in the coming years. District Masons hosted a Masonic donor clinic as well. Healthy people above the age of 17 can donate blood every 56 days. Usually takes about 1 hour to be registered at the clinic. Donate blood, take refreshment, and be on your way. Giving blood affects one very little beyond a well-earned feeling of personal satisfaction. Any member of a Mason's family, relations, and friends in good health above the age of 17 can be counted as a Masonic donor if you donate on behalf of a Mason who gives blood, plasma, platelets at a clinic supported or sponsored by Masons who has been contacted by Masons. So there you go. I mean, again, first person, the extent to which Freemasonry is or is not, welcoming, the extent to which Freemasonry is or is not welcomed in Middle Eastern countries or in Muslim countries, it depends. It goes country by country. But it's not a blanket thing. Even in countries where Freemasonry is not allowed, like, let's say, Qatar or Dubai, you still have Masons living there, and Masonry can exist on military bases. I was a Freemason. I traveled to Dubai. I had my Masonic patch on. I had my Masonic dues cards. There was no issue, so... We are going to be giving a few minutes. So, and I do want to mention, once again, hold on just 1 second. If you are considering donating blood and you live in Canada, actually, by the way, Livonia Lodge, hold on just 1 sec. Let me see if I can find it now. This is in the United States, but blood donation is important around the world. So the Livonia United Masonic Lodge number 152 frequently hosts community blood drives in partnership with the American Red Cross. They have one coming up March 20th, 2026, is scheduled from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Livonia United Masonic Lodge, 27705 West 7 Mile Road, Morton Grove, which is in Glenview, Illinois, meets in Glenview, Illinois, has a blood drive taking place March 29th, 2026 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Appointments can be made through the American Red Cross. That's Morton Grove Lodge 1146 AF and AM. Here is their most recent note. Let me see if I can find it. On October 2025, October 27th, they gave a total of 37 pints of blood at the Glenview Masonic Temple. And Morton Grove is a wonderful Masonic lodge. Another example of blood donation. Here it is, the announcement. Sunday, March 29th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Walk-ins welcome. Be a hero in your community. Donate blood. Save lives. I mean, I've never been paid for blood. I've always given for free. I don't know if you can get paid. I've heard of places where you get money for donating blood, but I've never been paid, and I don't think it's legal to pay people for blood in Canada. I suppose what I'd say is you should do it whether you're paid or not. You should do it because it's valuable for people and it's charitable. But I suppose if they offer money, I don't know. I'm not aware of any donor clinics that pay people to donate blood, is what I'll say, Masonic or otherwise. I mean, in Canada, we have, public health system. I would say I've been very lucky with the doctors I've gotten. So once again, Morton Grove, March 29th, 2026, they have a blood donation services, blood donation clinic taking place. Livonia Masonic Lodge in Livonia, Michigan has one taking place March 20th. Um, I mean, I think they give blood. I've never heard of anybody being charged for blood. I mean, I guess maybe if you get a bill for services, maybe the cost is incurred. I have no idea what the financial thing is. I've never dealt with the financial side of it. I've never seen any evidence that anybody is either being charged to give blood or charged to get blood or anything like that. I used to hear about, like, there's a movie I saw where somebody would donate blood to get money, but I don't know how that works. I would say you should give blood out of the charity of your heart. Um, Let me see if I can find. There's also a blood donor tent, actually, that I took part in Texas, or I tried to. I couldn't because I don't live in Texas. At the Texas Masonic Retirement Community and the Grand Lodge of Texas's Family Day, there was a blood donor clinic available. You could donate blood in a van, or in, like, not in a van, in like a mobile home, which had beds and equipment, and it was not just somebody's random mobile home. Hold on just one sec. Texas Masonic Retirement Community Family Day. So that was Saturday, October. So the next one coming up is Saturday, October 10th, 2026. Saturday, October 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 1501 West Division Street, Arlington, Texas. Last year and the year before, they did have blood services available, and you could donate through the Red Cross at the event. Let me see if they know they'll have it again coming up this year. They also have a Masonic barbecue cook-off and car show, by the way. No, it's not donated to the Masons. It's donated to the Canadian Blood Services or the Red Cross, and used to help people live better lives and to save lives. Yes, the Texas Masonic Temple Community Family Day is a major annual event that features a Gift of Life mobile blood drive. It is considered the largest gathering of Texas Masons, typically held in Arlington. So look, this is one of those things where this is just my three, or me giving three examples, right? One March 20th in Livonia, one March 29th in Livonia, Michigan, one March 29th in Glenview, Illinois, and one October in Arlington, Texas. However, and these are all Masonic events. However, these are simply three events. There are many more, and you don't need to wait for a Masonic event to donate. You can donate on your own, or you can organize a Masonic event. Consider in your Masonic lodge contacting Masonic, contacting the Red Cross, contacting Canadian Blood Services, and trying to organize a Masonic blood drive, or set it up so it's like a contest. You know, maybe if you've got 5 or 6 lodges in your district, you know, members of, like, every lodge encourages its members to donate. At the end of the year, the lodge which had the most donations from its membership gets a special prize, gets something to celebrate, gets a plaque, goes out for dinner, who knows what it is, right? You can organize a variety of these different things. Brother Courtney says it's not exclusive either. Let's say you can't donate blood for a variety of reasons, medical or otherwise. So yeah, you need to keep that in mind as well. So you can raise money, you can do whatever you want in that sense. It's crazy that someone can pass away being a donor and their family is left with nothing. They literally make millions. I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm a firm believer that I don't need my organs after I die. My family is not going to care. At least I hope they shouldn't care if I'm being buried with my organs or not with my organs. Give them to somebody who needs them. Give them to somebody who you could use them. That'd be my humble opinion on that. I mean, whether it's broken or not, I think people need blood. I mean, you can have your issues with the health system and not still recognize that is the case. So please consider, and I hope you all will consider, supporting the blood donations. If you can't donate blood, you can donate financially or volunteer. Consider finding local blood clinic options that are being run by Masons and support those. Or consider, I'm pretty sure they don't. I don't want anybody buying my organs, just give them away for heaven's sakes. Consider organizing something yourself. And if you live in Livonia, Michigan, Glenview, Illinois, Arlington, Texas, you have some Masonic blood drives coming up. Take advantage of them. Um, I mean, funerals are not cheap. Freemasons have helped brothers in the past with funeral services if they could not afford them. So thank you so much to Masons who do that, but you're not wrong. It's why getting insurance is so important and so necessary. Again, to my knowledge, like it's illegal to sell organs in Canada. I know that for sure, right? I can't sell my organs or expect money for them. So you need to keep that in mind, um, right? You're not allowed to do that. I mean, I cannot. Part of the thing is we do have an unofficial two-tier healthcare system. Like 90% of the population lives less than an hour from the US border, I think, or thereabouts. Certainly here in Windsor, it's 30 seconds. Having said that, I mean, I have probably used the Canadian healthcare system more than most. I'd say I'm on the higher end of the average scale, and I consider myself blessed to have our healthcare system. It's treated me well, it's treated my family well. I'm not going to speak for everybody, and I know that's anecdotal, but even right now, I'm looking at potentially donating a kidney to somebody. I don't know what's going to happen or not. And part of that is you get a lot of tests done, you get a lot of work done. It's all been free. And not only does that, help the person if they get it, but also it's all these tests are checking my health as well. Even before that, though, my doctor would regularly do checks on me. Um, I got all my vaccines, and what can I say? I'm not saying there aren't ways that it can be improved, but also we as Freemasons need to make sure that we are doing our part, right? That also matters a lot. We need to make sure we are doing our part to make sure that we are helping others, and helping ourselves, taking care of our own health and well-being. We cannot expect or rely exclusively on the medical system, right? I think that's a very important thing to keep in mind also. But that's not going to the person who donated the kidneys, right? That's going to the hospital. And presumably, and hopefully, knock on wood, it will be covered by insurance. But if it's not, look, I have many concerns with for-profit healthcare. I think that's a very concerning thing. Um, right? I don't know how it works, right? Like, I'm not interested. Like, it's illegal to sell organs. I'm not getting paid to be a kidney donor, and I shouldn't be. I don't think it's right to sell organs personally. I know some people would argue if you have two anyways, why not sell one of them? But that's my own personal opinion. You should not be able to sell. It should be done voluntarily because it's just too risky in terms of the potential for people taking advantage of the system. Um, okay, I mean 430 out of, but again, it's one of those things where I can understand if you live close to the United States and you're able to afford a medical insurance in the States, um, and you want to skip the line. I mean, okay. I suppose in some ways it's better for me who chooses to go to get medical care in Canada, in that I'm not waiting behind as many people, but I would not want people to be able to pay to skip the line here in Canada. That's for sure. Um, right? That would concern me. Again, I can only speak or exclusively speak for my involvement with the system, which has been pretty great. So the extent to which you view it as not great, I mean, I guess what I'd say is you have to make your own decisions. It's your life, it's your body, but I would recommend reconsidering your, shall we say, cynical view of the healthcare system, or at least your cynical view as it relates to things like blood donation and organ donation, because I don't think that's going to lead you to a good place. I mean, there's a lot of different types of fraud. I would say don't commit insurance fraud, and if you do, you should pay the penalty. Once again, so that basically is what I want to say about blood services. Freemasons have an incredibly valuable, incredibly historic, and incredibly charitable history as it connects to and relates to blood services in Canada and around the world. Since the 1940s, donated probably millions pints of blood or liters of blood, depending on your measurement, as well as volunteered at a variety of blood donor clinics. There are blood donor clinics happening around the world. In the States, Livonia Masons are holding a Livonia, Michigan Masons are holding a blood donor clinic, a blood drive March 20th. Chicago are holding a blood drive March 29th. And in Texas, they're going to be holding one most likely October 2026. Arlington, Texas. There are way more I'm missing. UGLE has held several blood and tissue or blood donation drives at the Queen Street location. Um, and if you are a Freemason and you want to support it, first of all, you don't need to do anything other than show up and donate blood. That's good enough. Encourage other Masons to donate with you. Consider holding a blood drive in your building, or doing a field trip and getting your Masons to go out and donate blood, as they did in Jamaica, for example, all showing up on a specified day to donate blood. If you can't do that, consider raising money to donate to blood services so they can purchase snacks, help with all of that type of thing. Take care of yourself so you can donate blood. Make sure your iron's good. Talk to your doctor. Also, there's plasma donation options. There's also organ donation. Consider being a living donor if you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Obviously, it's your body, it's your choice. But you can consider doing a living donation, or you can consider being an organ donor after you pass. Make sure your family are aware of your wishes. Include it in your will. Include it in any other documentation you must include it in, so they are aware of your wishes. Don't leave them guessing, right? One of the worst things you can do, I would think, is you pass away and your family has no idea what you want done with your body, is forced to guess. Write it down, speak about these things. I'm always done my best to make it as clear as possible to everybody that if anything happens to me, I want my organs donated to anyone who may need them. Yes, Brother Courtney, the best example of the Gift of Life program is again in the Texas Masonic Retirement Community at their Family Day, which is taking place October of every year. I have no idea, but thank you to the Masons of Jamaica for donating, for showing what Freemasonry is all about. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and thank you so much for being here. I would truly, truly appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You'll find all this information on my streams very shortly. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Take Asta. I mean, I hope they get more. I'm very grateful for my doctor. She's awesome. Uh, she's always, she answers my calls quickly, whatever it is. Like I've a big fan of my doctor. So I guess what I'd say is I think they probably deserve more than 200,000 per year. I'm sure that they don't get into it necessarily for the money, but I think they probably deserve more. And I'm grateful for them once again. I'm grateful for the work that they do. I'm grateful for doctors in general. It's not going to be an easy profession, and that includes whether it be family physicians, emergency room physicians, whatever it might be, right? I'm grateful for all of them. And I'm a big believer that we should all be grateful, more grateful for the things we have in our life. Um, my cousin is a doctor. Where'd your cousin move from? Rion Van Wyck. Hello, Lady Sky. Thank you for being here. What's up with my face? I think my face looks awesome. I mean, I can speak exclusively for myself. I can't speak for Freemasonry because every Mason will have a different view on America attacking Iran. I suppose what I would say is I'd rather they didn't, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this ends as soon as possible. Because not only does it affect, the people in the Middle East, obviously, it affects the whole world in a variety of ways, and it affects Freemasons. There's a lot more Freemasonry in the Middle East than people realize. And a lot of those Freemasons are now under threat, right? I mean, but even here at home, in the United States, the price of gas has increased by 56 cents per gallon since February 28th, 2026. February 28th, 2026, the price of gas increased 56 cents. What does that mean for travel? What does that mean for travel to and from the United States, around the world, flights, buses? I mean, I'm somebody who travels a fair bit. I'm grateful for traveling. However, bus tickets are going up, plane tickets are going up, right? So I'm not a Satanist. I'm not pretending to not be a Satanist. I'm just not a Satanist. And Freemasonry is not a Satanist. I don't know what narrative you're referring to, but I'm a firm believer in getting vaccinated. I think it's the right thing to do. And you can disagree, but you're wrong. And we are not Luciferian either, because when you say narrative, I assume you mean health narratives. I mean, historically, he was definitely from the Middle East, right? He was born in Bethlehem. I think he lived in Nazareth, went to Egypt. If you're asking me his ethnicity, I mean, Middle Eastern, I would assume. But I'm not the one to discuss religions or theology. You need to keep that in mind. Because I'm, like I said, the worst person to be discussing that. A bunch. I don't know the number, but I get my boosters. I missed a couple here and there, but I'm going to guess 6. I could be mistaken. Well, I'm still here. I'm not glowing green, so I guess you take that for whatever it's worth. I don't think we're that secretive. I'm here talking about Freemasonry right now. Well, I think people would argue, again, I'm not the person to discuss this because I'm not a Christian myself. I think people who are Christians, though, would say Christianity belongs to everyone, which I would suggest is true for most religions, would have that argument that it belongs to everyone. Well, congratulations. You got 5 vaccines. I don't know how many vaccines I've gotten. I mean, what? Tetanus, Hep A, Hep B, COVID, flu, yellow fever. Haven't grown my legs back yet, though. Well, I don't think it was a scam. I think you've been scammed by online nonsense. Welcome, J Prime from 14 years ago. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I hope when you say here, where is here? Canada? I mean, I think the argument would be it's a religion for anybody who chooses to follow it. I don't think you can say there's such a thing as Middle Eastern religions or Western religions or Eastern religions. I mean, things may originate in certain geographical areas, but I think religious belief as a tendency tends to spread to different corners of the world, which is perfectly fine. Well, I'm here. Like I said, haven't grown any, haven't grown a second set of legs yet. So there you go. I don't know what is the purpose of this discussion, but you guys are getting weird. Y'all need to calm down a little bit about this. I mean, I suppose the Bible would be Middle Eastern, right? It was written I think it was written in Hebrew and in Aramaic, if I recall correctly. I was born this way, never had legs, so I never lost them. I don't know what it means to aspirate. What I do know is I believe everybody should get vaccinated, in my humble opinion. I also believe if you can, you should get usually enough. The no's are higher than the yeses right now. So let's see if we can change that by going to some of these Masonic blood donor clinics. We are going to be given it a bit more time. Wait to see who joins. We're back to just hanging out, chatting about whatever, no specific discussion points, but please hit like, please hit subscribe. You'd have to ask every Mason. Every Mason has his own beliefs, right? There are some who, if you're talking believe in a religious sense, there are some who are Christian, some who are Jewish, some who are Muslim, Hindu, Sikh. If you're asking what I believe, or my supreme being is best understood as the rational nature of the universe as expressed through brotherly love, relief, and truth. Well, I'm not an elite, and it's not so much secret as private rituals. So I definitely like to call myself an elite, though. User, we never did that. That's some BS. My belief, again, it means I believe my supreme being is a rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. If you want to learn about those, you got to join. There's rituals for being initiated, passed, and raised through Freemasonry. The purpose of ritual, the purpose of ceremony, is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences. And that is something that our Masonic rituals do. And I'm grateful for. If you were an atheist, again, the term supreme being within Freemasonry is relatively broadly defined. So a lot of people might consider me an atheist, which is perfectly fine. You can consider me whatever you want, right? But I consider myself, as I've said before, to be I believe in a supreme being, and it works for Freemasonry, so there you go. I mean, do I feel like I owe the medical system? I don't know, like owe as in I'm grateful to it? Of course. I mean, it's helped me in a variety of different ways. Are you saying, do I feel like it's the fault of the medical system that I was born with no legs? I mean, absolutely not. It's not the fault of the medical system at all. It just happens. Sometimes it happens. Which I was born after the thalidomide issue, so I'm way after that. But I have no issue with that. I have no anger towards the medical system. It wasn't their fault. It's just a thing that happened. Sometimes things happen. You don't want to think about it in terms of rank, take. It's better to think about it in terms of offices and degrees. I'm a 3rd degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. I'm also an 18th degree Scottish Rite. I also have the office of Worshipful Master of the Lodge. So there you go. Well, I mean, I'm grateful for the medical system. Do I feel like I owe it something? I mean, I think I owe it my gratitude. I don't, beyond that, we have universal healthcare in Canada, which I think is right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you mean by owe. I joined Freemasonry in 2007. I've been pretty active since I first joined. You can be a Mason for years and never show up and not be actively involved. That is absolutely possible, but I've been actively involved in Freemasonry for about 20 years. I've been pretty active since I first joined. Baby Thanos, I'll take it. Because most people say I look ugly. So if you think that if you're willing to say that I look like Baby Thanos, I guess you could say he looks not the most handsome of fellas, but again, most people say I look very ugly, so I'll not complain at all about that. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you for being here. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. And thank you so much for being here. I've collected all of the Infinity Stones. I mean, I don't like to brag or nothing, but I've collected all of the Infinity Stones. What about him? He was not a Mason, for the record. I'm Canadian. I was born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I currently live in Windsor, Ontario. And I love Canada very much. I've always said, though, Canada is the greatest country in the world, which I truly believe, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. So, Xavier, I appreciate that. I'll take it. I'm with the United Services Lodge here in UK. Thank you, Harry Thompson. Thank you for being here. I hope you like and subscribe. I love my United Kingdom brothers. You guys are awesome. I was lucky enough to visit the United Kingdom in November. Get to see it. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. I love being in both England and Scotland. I love my Masonic brothers there as well. No, I cannot take Asta because I don't want to describe the private rituals for a variety of reasons. But one of them is joining Freemasonry. At least part of that is ultimately it is a leap of faith. What I will say and what I always say is I've never seen anything within any Masonic ritual that would be illegal, immoral, or against one's religious, civic, employment, or other responsibilities. So you can take that for whatever it's worth. I think Ottawa is okay. I love Ottawa as a city. It's absolutely beautiful. Yes, yes. I loved, I did visit UGLE. I actually had a cappuccino in the Goose and Gridiron cafe, which was awesome. It was absolutely beautiful. Very good cappuccino as well. I didn't get a chance to tour it as much as I'd like because I had to go right from there to the bus station to head up to Scotland, um, and to head up to the Grand Lodge there. But it was beautiful. I'm not Catholic, so no, but I'd love to visit the Vatican just to visit it because it's such an important place historically, architecturally, and theologically. Um, yes, food allergies are real. No one listen to or take medical advice from Crunch Daniels, please. Um, well, Jim, I'm not a big fan of I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump myself, but hey, if you are, then I guess so be it. I not personally a big fan of him. Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, I was there for the AVDA Awards, the Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards, which is out of ancient Grand Lodge in Scotland. But I did love being in England. I loved seeing the Masonic Charities Foundation, one of the crown jewels of Freemasonry, zero doubt. It's absolutely incredible. I also loved visiting, the gift shop. I loved the cappuccino. I loved the Goose and Gridiron. I know it's not at the original location, but the Goose and Gridiron Cafe. And what I could see of it was absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I loved it. And thank you for being here. I hope that you will check out some of my other episodes, Harry Thompson. We were talking about Freemasonry and blood donation because Freemasonry around the world has a really wonderful history of being blood donors and doing blood donations. There's several blood donor clinics coming up. So, yeah, I've met many Muslim Freemasons. Well, let's not hope for either of those circumstances. Let's not hope for World War III, and let's not hope for suspending elections. Yes, I met many Muslim Muslim Freemasons, valuable and wonderful part of the craft. Right to be a Freemason is not about belief in a single type of supreme being, just belief in a supreme being. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins. Um, hello, Eric. Harry, if you know of any blood donor clinics that the Masons are holding in your neck of the woods in London or even your lodge, let me know. Awesome. And yeah, if you do, by all means, leave a comment. I mean, people from around the world see these videos, so it's very possible that people will see, will see your comment, and if they're in your neck of the woods, will respond and maybe check it out. I'm a blood donor as well, so we're going to give it a bit more time. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason since 2007, so just about 20 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. I've been to over 1,000 Masonic events all around the world. Most recently, outside of my home lodges, visiting lodges in Chicago, which I do quite frequently. Well, I don't think we're bringing back the draft first person. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens, but I don't know why you're concerned about that at the moment. John Wayne was a Mason, to my knowledge. I think he was, if I recall it correctly. There's been a few famous Freemasons throughout the years. Halsey Hall in Watford. Let me check, see if I can find if they have something coming up. Halsey Hall, Watford, Masonic Blood Drive. The Halsey Masonic Hall, located on Rickmansworth Road in Watford, serves as a community location that hosts blood donor sessions. Watford Observer, Give Blood at Halsey Masonic Hall. The NHS, National Health Services, Watford Blood Drive is taking place in 2 sessions today between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. and between 4:30 and 7. That was April 28th, 2015. On July 5th, 2025, they had an open house. I'm trying to see if there's been anything more recent. I'm sure there has been. There's a vaccination drive for UGLE in 2021 as well at UGLE. So yeah. We'll see what happens first person, Victoria. I don't think anybody knows for sure. Solomon is an incredibly important figure within Freemasonry, not just within Freemasonry, within a variety of different areas and legends and historical. So Solomon is a very important figure within Freemasonry, as is his temple. Now, it makes sense because Freemasonry evolved from stone Masonic guilds, and stone masonry is obviously going to relate itself to or consider relevant famous examples of stone buildings or stone masonry, whether it be more legendary or apocryphal like King Solomon's Temple, or more literal still around like the pyramids, for example. So as an example of stone masonry and a place where stonemasons were employed, it made sense to use in ritual and ceremony. I think it's quarterly. I mean, if I can find out, I will share it for sure, but I think that'd be awesome. Again, we'll see. I don't think we know right now, so we need to be careful. If we don't know for sure, we should be careful speculating, because that can lead to problems down the line. Thank you, Harry Thompson. I appreciate that very much. Well, Roadhouse, whether you think it's overrated or underrated, that doesn't really matter. Um, right? Because that's your opinion and it's perfectly fine. I mean, I happen to think, and this might get me in a bit of trouble, but I happen to think um, a lot of movies that are well liked are overrated. Other people think they're underrated. You may think my favorite movie, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, is overrated or underrated. Who knows? You're welcome to that opinion, but just because you find Freemasonry overrated doesn't mean I will consider it to be overrated. I rather enjoy it very much. Um, you'd have to ask every Freemason, because every Freemason has his own beliefs. There is no Masonic belief system, right? That's something that people still don't understand. I don't know why. There is no Masonic belief system. It's not a religion. I personally don't believe in the metaphysical. I don't believe in spirits or jinns or things like that. Um, some may, but it's not part of Masonic quote unquote teachings. Okay, other people might think he's underrated. Who knows about Steven Seagal? My point is, you're welcome to your opinion on Freemasonry, but that doesn't mean a matter of preference can be accurate or inaccurate in that sense. A matter of preference is just that, a matter of preference. I used to like his movies back in the day. It's been a while since I've seen them, in fairness. And I understand he kind of went a bit off his rocker. But we all go a bit off our rockers sometimes, I suppose. Well, that's true. I don't disagree with that, but I also think that's true for a lot of different groups and organizations, right? All we can do is try our best and hope to work out the edges. I think if Freemasonry was more relevant in the world, we would therefore have less of these conflicts. But I think it's up to us as Freemasons to try to find ways to create more relevance to and for Freemasonry within the world. And maybe Harry Thompson, I'd say it's a journey that can make communities better as well. Right? It's not just about making the world better. It's about not just about making individuals or making good men better. It's about making the world a better place. And I hope we can do both. All right, we're going to be ending this stream in a second because I got to go to the washroom like crazy. We will be back on at 1 a.m. tonight. Harry, leave a comment on this video or in any video if you discover any upcoming Masonic blood drives, and I'll make sure to promote it as well. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you all tonight. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Leave some comments, leave some likes, super chat, Patreon, all that good stuff.